everyone, welcome back to Mike's Mini Motors. So in this episode I'm going to get back to working on my Ruckus. A couple of things I've been wanting to do for a while, just been busy. It's three things, but two of them are kind of the same thing, or close to. First off, I'm going to relocate my start button. I originally replaced the lights here and put it here, but not a fan of it because you got to go here and here, and I'd rather just do it one-handed. Also, there was one time when I think it was when I first built the bike where this brake wire got disconnected, so I had to hold this with this hand, give this a little throttle, and then try to use my knee, and it was just a pain in the butt. Anyways, so I'm going to get rid of that for now and put this on there. And then the other thing is I have the mount here for my cell phone. I ran a little USB charger, but it's not a very fast charger. It's barely trickle charges, and so I'm going to replace it with this guy. This is actually a Samsung fast charger, so it'll charge my phone a lot better. And then also that same little USB power that runs for the phone also powers my underglow lights. So, not like I said, not a big fan of that. So what I ended up doing is pick up this little DC to DC converter off of Amazon. It just takes 12 volts, which the Ruckus is, and takes it down to 5 volts. So then I can just run the underglow straight off of this here. So let's go ahead and get to it. I'm going to start by getting this battery box off so we get to all the goody electronics inside there. So let's do it. Alright, so we got the battery box off. Pretty simple, it's a total of 7 screws. But here in a second I'll grab the camera and I'll bring it over here so you can actually see what I had in here before. And you'll probably see why I'm not a fan of it, but it was what I had that I could do with at the time, and so I made it work, but that's why I'm replacing it now. So let's take a closer look. Alright, so this was attached in here with the zip ties. I went ahead and cut those off. But you can see this is what I used before. It was just an old car cell phone charger. And so what I did is I cracked the case open and took the part here that's normally the cigarette lighter plug and unsoldered the terminals in there and soldered on wire so I could just hardwire it in, and then did pretty much the same thing on the output and split it into two. So I have one for the USB for my phone and one here for the underglow. Sorry, brain fart. But you can see here possibly how tiny these wires are for that USB cable I used. They're like 28 or 30 gauge or something really tiny. So that's probably a big reason why my phone charged so slowly. But yeah, so also for anyone that wants to add any kind of accessories like this here, you can tap into this middle 10 amp fuse on the top side. It's an accessory wire. You can tap into the wire in the back if you want, or I've got these little add a circuit, or I forget exactly what they call, but they go in with the fuse and then give you a little blade terminal. So let me go ahead and get this old junk cut out of here, and then we get to put the new stuff in. Alright, all the old stuff's out of the way now. And you can see this is that little add a circuit or tap a fuse. I forget exactly the name, but they're actually pretty handy. And the reason I said to go to the top pin of this, this fuse is that's the inlet side. So it's not going to be, you're not going to be pulling current through the fuse on whatever accessories you're running. But what I'm going to do is I didn't have a fuse on there on the last setup. So what I did is I found this guy. I've got a ton of these. These are just a double relay module from Directed Electronics. I got tons of these from back when I used to do remote starts and stuff. And so I'm going to actually cut this off and use this because it's a 1 in and 2 out, which is perfect for what I need, except for I wish it were red, but hey, beggars can't be choosers. So I'll get this wire all cut up and then the spade connector on it for the fuse tap, and then See, I'm going to solder onto the battery charger, excuse me, phone charger, and then I gotta put a ring lug on for the other guy. Here is the little harness I put together. So you can see this is the positive 12 volt lead. This is our ground. And they both run up here and pretty much tap into the inlet of this DC converter up here and then come back out to this guy here. So this is how I'm powering my USB charger. And where did I just set that? Here she is. So I'll put that in there, tape it in so it doesn't fall out. And really easy. I don't have to modify it like I did the other one. But you can see here, like I said, tore it apart and soldered wires in there. Where this one I can just throw in there, tape it, and I'm done. So they're just, I found real cheap some cigarette lighter plug splitters. So it's just one that would plug into your car and splits out like that. And I just cut them off. And so they have these sockets. So I just got to put this under that fuse, this on the ground of the battery, and then hook up, here's the output for the converter. And these are my wires that go to my underglow. So they just need to be screwed in there. So let's get this put in here, and hopefully I should be able to have it all kind of live right in here and not impede on anything too much. So let's get that in there. Well, my other camera decided to die for some reason. The battery was draining super quick. So let's try this with my new GoPro I picked up. But here I got everything wired in. See, here's the phone charger. Here's the power converter, the 12 volt to 5 volt. And now we can test it. I got my key. As you can see, underglow is working. Now let's see if it charges my phone, which is over here. It says charging. Yep. Should charger. Well, that's not very promising. Oh, it says it's charging. But it shows it says it's gonna take 13 hours, so maybe the battery in this thing might be a little low just because it's been running for a while, or hasn't ran for a while. So I'll start it up at some point and charge it up, or actually I'll probably just put it on the charger and test it again tomorrow or something. Okay, so I believe this guy is the culprit, and sure, it'd be nice to have fast charge, but it doesn't actually fast charge. It ridiculously slow charges. So I swapped it out with another one I have here that was just extra. So if I plug my phone in, watch down here at the bottom, it says charging 66%, 55 minutes until full. With this guy here, at first it would say like 2 hours and 46 minutes and then jump up to 13 hours. So it wasn't hardly charging at all. And so when I put this one in, it immediately did that. So I'm going to leave that guy in there. And yeah, so I'm going to get that all buttoned back up, and then we can move on to get my start switch installed. Here's the new charger put in there. Got everything kind of buttoned back up again. Double checked it again that, yeah, it does still charge my phone. So now we're moving on to the start button, and I ended up putting this in here. This is the CNC aluminum replacement, and it comes with a button, and I wired that up for my start. But I want to move the start button back up to here so I can do single-handed starting, and then I'll just save this for now, and I might later put something else in there. I'm not sure yet. So I found, here it is, the stock thing there. So I'll have like those lights, but like this, since I have the LED bar on there, there's no high beam. And I have the Metropolitan fuel float in there, so I have an analog reading. I'm assuming there'd still be a low reading, but guess we'll find out. So I'll get that swapped out, and then it should be pretty easy to wire in this new switch. I just got to pull out the 2 wires here that are ran to the front, depin them, and put pins on my new one and put them back in. So let's get this swapped out. Well, it's pretty simple to take out. It's just the 2 screws that hold it, and then I had to just depin it. And these are actually fairly easy to depin. Let's see if you can see these on the camera. They've just got, there we go, this little tab that clicks in and holds them in. So I just take my pick and poke that a little bit and slide it out, and then you can bend them back out if you've pushed it too far, if you need to reuse them. But so yeah, so now I can get this guy bolted back on. Get this on your start button mounted here. Route the wires, pin it out, and then we should be done. So let's get all this stuff put back on. New start switch is routed, pinned out, got the old button pulled off and the old lights back on, all plugged back in. So moment of truth time. So let's see. Well, that worked really well. And actually the feel of this button felt better than the other one. Because one thing I was starting to notice with this metal button is you'd push it and sometimes it didn't always make contact. So you'd have to like really push it into itself a couple of times, so I've noticed. And so this one just nice tactile feedback, and it just felt good. So all right, now I can get the battery box put back together. So we'll zip through that real quick. There you have it. I got the charger for my phone now, and actually charges well. I have the start button, and then remove the old start button and put the old lights back in. So who knows if they'll even work, but if not, I can put the other one back in just for aesthetics. So yeah, that's gonna go ahead and wrap up this episode. It was just a couple little things I've been wanting to do, and honestly, like that fast charge cigarette lighter car charger. I've been looking for weeks for that thing. I knew I had it a while ago. I was planning on putting it in here, and I couldn't find it anywhere. And then when I was finally rearranging the whole garage and reorganizing, I finally found it, and then couldn't even use it. So that sucks. But anyways, I think what's be coming up next for this guy, and actually for Brandon's Ruckus also, is license plate mounts for back here. I need a new one because mine got busted or stolen. I'm leaning more towards stolen or something, because last time I seen my license plate was I went to a car show this last summer, and they parked this guy next to there's Harleys. This was the only other bike besides like Harleys that were there, and those guys didn't seem to really like my bike, and they were sitting there with their bikes, revving them up, and their exhaust was throwing. It was in a gravel parking lot, and so gravel and dirt and everything were peppered all over my bike, and they thought it was hilarious. And so I wouldn't be surprised if one of them came over and took my license plate, because it wasn't on a bracket, but it was a 3D printed one, so it was plastic. But who knows, maybe they didn't touch it, and it did just happen to fall off when I was riding. So I had to get a new plate, and then I'm going to fabricate up a mount that'll go here for me and Brandon. And then also, a couple of months ago, I picked up one of the cheap Harbor Freight powder coating systems, secondhand off somebody. They bought it, never even used it, got intimidated, and sold it for dirt cheap. So picked it up, and I got me a little toaster oven for baking smaller parts, and so I am going to try that on those. And then, yeah, with that, there's also, I got these, they're just white lights that are for the license plates that's lit up. And then something else I may do, I'm not sure yet, is I have these blinkers. They're the same ones that were on Brandon's bike. These are the leftover ones. I bought them for the Frankentrike and only needed the front set, and it came as a set of 4. So I might put them on here, but I don't want them to look goofy and sticking out. So if I find a spot that I'm happy with, then I'll put those on. But at least I know the license plate, I'll be doing that. And that'll be coming up here shortly. I got to get to some of these other projects too, but yeah, keep an eye out for that. So yeah, go ahead and like the video if you're liking the content, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you guys are thinking, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. So thanks a lot, guys, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one.